guys, welcome back to Off the Canvas Boxing. If you haven't done it already, please click the subscribe button. Follow me on social media on Twitter and on Instagram at Off the Canvas Boxing. Link is in the description box below. Also follow me on Twitch, where we'll be doing live streams on watch along, etc. And sometimes doing previews as well on the Twitch as well. So exciting stuff is to come. Big 2020. And also thank you very much to you guys as well. We got hit the first milestone of 50 subs. Yeah, once you get to 100 subs, it's gonna be lit. I might do a video for that, but I need to sort of think about what to do and post it to the audience, maybe on Instagram or whoever on Twitter. But let's get cracking. So coming into this fight, we had a Mexican fighter against a British opponent fighting, and we had the US national anthem sung by 3 Kenyan women. And I was thinking, what the flip is going on here? We're having the American national anthem sung by Kenyan women for a fighter that's British and Mexican. It was a bit like, I was a bit confused coming into this fight as well. First round, first couple of rounds was pretty much even. I had Canelo Alvarez, you know, he was slipping a few shots, he was feeding up his opponent, and Calum, all he was doing was flicking out the jab, 1-2, and he was trying to find that right uppercut or left uppercut of some sort. I don't know, maybe he saw it in training that the uppercut to Canelo Alvarez would pose a lot of problems. He was sort of looking for that quite often. And so after 2 rounds, I had it pretty much square. Moving swiftly on to the 3rd and the 4th round, I then had it to Canelo Alvarez really convincingly, because he was closing the distance. And what I've noticed, especially within the first sort of half of the fight, first 6 rounds. By the way, like next 2 rounds I had it. CALUM was also the first 6 rounds I had it pretty much even. A lot of people may disagree with me, but you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. First 6 rounds I had it exactly the same. However, what I noticed is that CALUM was throwing a whole lot of punches, but barely any of them were landing. And Canelo Alvarez was throwing a lot less punches, but the ones that he was throwing was actually landing. So it was a bit like quantity over quality type of comparison. Billy Joe Saunders would throw not Billy Joe Saunders, CALUM would throw like jabs after jabs, 1-2s after 1-2s, and it would be hitting gloves, and only a portion of the ball going through. But the rounds that he won, Canelo Alvarez didn't do enough in terms of quantity. If he just done a couple of more jabs or a couple of more body shots, he would have won those rounds convincingly. But it was that he didn't do enough. You know, even though he was landing, he didn't do enough. And that was sort of the theme throughout the fight. I noticed also as well in the sort of the 3rd or 4th round that CALUM was really getting tired. He was like feeling his one of his arms as well was kind of bruised up, and he wasn't throwing as much. I can't remember what arm was. I think it was the right hand. He wasn't throwing a lot of right hands. He was just flicking out the jab every now and then. But like I said, look, he has to step it up. Thankfully, around 5 and 6, he did step it up, and then he won those 2 rounds convincingly. This is what I did when I was watching the fight. I muted the commentators, because what I've noticed here, Canelo Alvarez is he's a hypnotizer basically. Yeah, I'm watching his fights. I'm hearing the Mexican crowd. Yeah, and I'm hearing the sort of the biased commentators. And everything was sort of saying, oh, like literally, all that would happen is Canelo Alvarez would just do that, bob and weave, and then CALUM would just flick up a lot of jabs, and some of them will land, and I wouldn't hear good jab, good right hand from CALUM. Like all I would hear is, oh, Canelo Alvarez is, you know, showing good defensive capability. Like literally, it was a one-sided show. I just literally muted it. I said, I'm gonna watch this impartially. So coming up to the 7th round, pretty much all the way up into round 12, Canelo set up the gas. He increased his intensity. Though he was landing a few, he wanted to really suss out what CALUM was doing. The second half of the fight, he knew what CALUM was doing. CALUM was tired. and just flicking out the jab and sort of trying to stay like hold on for dear life. And Canelo to Alvarez, all he just done is just literally outclassed him. It was sort of like he was freestyling. He was bobbing and weaving, flicking out the jab, 1-2. Like he was doing everything. Like uppercut, like sometimes he would throw, like everything, like every sort of combination Canelo Alvarez threw in this fight. The skill was absolutely amazing. His chin, his durability was on another level. Like you couldn't hurt Canelo Alvarez that night. Like it's very difficult to hurt him. And that poses a question going forward, like who can beat Canelo Alvarez? At 168, I would say Billy Joe Saunders has a huge chance against him. Billy Joe Saunders has the style and the capability to keep him on the outside jab, understand his distance, switch up the game tactics when Canelo Alvarez looks as though he's understanding what you're doing or downloading that information. Because and he's southpaw as well, so that poses also another threat. When you're southpaw, Canelo Alvarez, all he has to do is to strike properly, has to throw the right hand. But Billy Joe Saunders is very effective at dealing with right-handed shots that come his way, because everyone he fights is an orthodox fighter. But that to me is a fight slightly bit early for Billy Joe Saunders to fight as his next opponent. For me, if it was up to me, I would have Billy Joe Saunders versus Andrade first. Andrade is a very tough opponent, avoided fighter, and well, these two had fights agreed, signed, and they had press conferences all ready to go, and the fight then had to fall through because of circumstances back in 2015, I believe, in 2016. So for me, Billy Joe Saunders is pretty much the only hope. If it's not Billy Joe Saunders, I don't know who. And they're talking about Triple G. I don't really want to see a Triple G a trilogy. I know a lot of people in the boxing community may want to see it because they, the first two fights were quite close. But after I think that was about last year or the year before, I think Canelo Alvarez has gone on to be doing leaps and bounds of things. The way he beat Rocky Fielding, Danny Jacobs, Callum Smith as well. Like for me, you can't look past Canelo Alvarez. Billy Joe Saunders, for me, I'm putting my hat on him. I think he's the only person in the division 168 and also 160 that can beat Canelo Alvarez. If it's not Billy Joe Saunders, it's pretty much nobody. And also as well, Billy Joe Saunders was very smart as well to not take the fight on such short notice. Callum Smith looked like he didn't look 100% sharp, and when you're coming against Canelo Alvarez, you've got to be 100% sharp. Lastly as well, a lot of people say, where should Canelo Alvarez fight? If he fights Billy Joe Saunders, it has to be in the UK fight at maybe Wembley. Because the only way Billy Joe Saunders can win this trip, put him on the outside, jab him off, and win on points. And the only way he can win on points and get a clear decision is in the UK. You can't get that in the US, in my opinion, and also Mexico. It's going to be a one-way show, and I heard it myself. Like I started believing Canelo Alvarez was like the pound for pound one of the greatest of all time. At one point, after listening to these guys, I was like, "Rah, this is mad," And yeah, for me, that then influences on the judges, and then it will be quite of a biased scorecard. Hopefully, it's in the UK, Wembley, something like that. And if he fights Triple G next and then fights Billy Joe Saunders, Triple G would be, for me, that would be a great fight to then take to Tokyo, Saudi Arabia, and then fight Billy Joe Saunders at Wembley. Grow the sport in the UK because it's going to be a lot bigger at Wembley, and then that will then be a lot better for the British fighters coming through. But amazing sort of end to the year. Big 2021, guys. Big 2021. Huge fights coming on soon. Alright, the channel has hit 50 subs. Yeah, next year is gonna be a magazine. Yeah, if you guys are not from the UK, or if you guys are not in terms of the saying, that means it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be mad. Yeah, 2021 biggest fights. We've got Dylan White versus Alexander Povetkin rematch, potentially maybe even facing Andy Ruiz Jr. / Deontay Wilder. We've got the Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez, hopefully middle of next year or towards the end of next year in a huge mega fight potentially in the UK at Wembley. We also have the women's world title between Shannon Courtenay rematching Rachel Ball next year, which is going to be absolutely immense. Okay, we also have Larissa Cody fighting for the World Championship for the Cruiserweight World title against Glowacki. Who else you got? Potentially, no, not potentially. We have Lyndon Arthur versus Anthony Yard rematch in the UK. On top of that, potentially Joe Joyce versus Alexander Usyk for the WBO interim world title or WBO final eliminator for the world championship. Blood, we've got fights coming out of our ear hole. Like, next year will be immense. Next year will be the sort of the best year of boxing that we've had in a while. Who else do we have? So much Teofimo Lopez potentially fighting Gervonta Tank Davis / Ryan Garcia / Luke Campbell. Bruv, it's gonna be mad. Yeah, next year it's gonna be the best year of boxing in out of the last sort of 2-3 years or so. Alright, and this is the place to tune in. Off the Canvas Boxing. If you haven't done already, follow me on social media at Off the Canvas Boxing. Click the subscribe button. Let's try to get to 100 subs by, we're gonna make a target, but 100 subs as soon as possible. Peace, love, and prosperity, guys, and we'll catch you guys in a minute. Peace.